Greetings, friends, and that old-fashioned monitor beacon brings you to another exciting episode of Interesting Ideas. And that's the topic for today. You read it right. Will the Silicon Valley stupids please step out? And it's a war against Christians. That's right, Silicon Valley. That place that dominates much of communication and obviously much of the world with who they are and what they produce. And I've always wondered, are they really good people? Now we know, for the most part, the answer. And we're going to talk about that today as we think about Silicon Valley and their war against people of faith. This is Interesting Ideas, and the program begins right now. Well, it's time to lose faith again in another institution, as if we ever had much faith there. But that's part of the crisis of our times. I'm giving this program in honor of an article that appeared just recently in the Wall Street Journal, February 10th, by a gentleman named Peter Rex. And here's what he called it: Silicon Valley's Secret Christians. Discomfort with faith cuts the tech industry off from a necessary moral foundation. And I've always felt that was the case, and that's vital in terms of life and business today. So with your permission, let's just take a little bit of a look at this interesting idea by Peter Rex from the Wall Street Journal. Here's what he says. HBO's Silicon Valley won praise during its sixth-season run for accurately satirizing Northern California's tech startup culture. Now, in a classic episode, it depicts a meeting in which one of the main characters accidentally outs a colleague, leaving the gathered tech leaders very uncomfortable. But they're not upset that their potential partner is gay. Rather, they're shocked to learn that he goes to church. And another character later admits that Christianity kind of freaks people out in the valley. Okay, let's just a bit continuing with that. You know, there's truth in the show's satire. And Peter Rex goes on to say, having held tech jobs in Silicon Valley and Seattle, I've experienced a combination of hesitation and hostility toward my Catholic faith. Eastern Orthodox, Mormon, and Protestant colleagues at my company have had similar experiences, leading them to worry about being open with their religious beliefs. And you know what? The fear is valid. For all of its talk about diversity and equity and quality, the tech industry has little room for devout believers. This discomfort cuts off much of tech from the moral foundations it needs. You see, in avoiding religious believers, the tech industry fails to reflect America's religious diversity. Around half of tech workers identify as atheist or agnostic, according to a 2018 Lincoln Network survey. And that number stands out even in an increasingly secular U.S., yet the gap is no surprise given where tech recruits its workers. Seattle and the Bay Area are among the U.S. metropolitan areas with the highest percentages of religiously unaffiliated residents. The University of California, Berkeley, perhaps the top school for tech talent, quietly and appropriately ended its religious studies program in 2017. What are you thinking about this? Does this begin to help you make sense of what's going on? Let me just interject here. One of my sayings that I picked up about those of us who have faith is something I learned from a sacred writing, and not necessarily scriptural writing or Bible writing, in the Indian confession, and that is the Indians. And they made this statement. They say, the souls that love God are like horses. They know each other by smell. The souls that love God are like horses. They know each other by smell. And those of us who are people of faith oftentimes can really sense those who are like-minded. Or, as I said to a lady the other day, you are a kindred spirit. And she said, yes, we are. And you can also sense, just as the people in Tech Valley, in Stupid Valley, is that, hey, you better keep your mouth shut. That's something we just don't want to talk about. So, in effect, that's the case. And I would really encourage you to read that article. Now, again, here we don't gain anything from this, okay? Silicon Valley's Secret Christians by Peter Rex, and it appeared in the Wall Street Journal. I shared it with a few people. In fact, a couple of people came back to me and said, Stan, this is the article that's making the rounds in our office today. You see, the hostility extends to how tech even operates. A recent report by the Napa Legal Institute found that social media platforms increasingly censor religious believers who opposed abortion, assisted suicide, and transgender ideology. And the lack of faith guides tech innovation. Some of the industry's leading lights, okay, you know, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg to Google's Sergey Brin and Larry Page, are pursuing what they call transhumanism, meaning immortality through tech-enabled enhancements. Absent an orthodox belief in God, tech leaders are striving to become gods themselves. And you know, that is the ultimate, if we say, idolatry. That is to actually believe that you are God. You're as good as God. We don't need God because I have me. Just let that sit on your head for a while. Okay, tech needs an infusion of faith. It could make the industry more humane and enlightened and morally grounded, helping lift up those it currently pushes down. Don't hold your breath. Hey, once again, this is Interesting Ideas. My name is Stan Houston, and you can reach out to me because I'd like you to raise your hand and respond. Reach out to me at stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. And Interesting Ideas is part of the Creator Enterprise Project. We are here to help you, men and women, often of faith, who care deeply about starting a business that matters, that makes a difference, and lives out its business and its life in ways that are pleasing, not just to the company, not just to the stakeholders, not just to the customers, but pleasing to the faith that we surround ourselves and in some cases even bow down to. Hey, let's take a break, and we'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Once again, the article is, and the interesting idea is, yep, the stupids do step out. And secret Christians are kind of the enemy. But let me add a little more to this from my own experience, okay? And you can deal with it as you see fit. But I'd like, again, to hear from you and speak up. And I'm going to ask a number of people if they'd like to just come back on and share their experience, their particular feelings about this kind of phenomenon. And maybe it's true in other parts of the workplace, particularly as corporations are increasingly adopting a political correctness, a kind of woke mentality. The article actually talks about where the word was that there were a group of Christians at Google who were just getting together before work to have a little prayer meeting as they began their day, which caused one young techie to say, "We don't allow people who pray in the work. We don't allow that, do we? That's not right." The stupids step out. First of all, I don't get into any arguments with people about their faith or their non-faith. I live by this particular principle. A truth told is good, but seldom heard. A truth revealed has greater yield. A truth discovered is best of all, and a truth imposed is no truth at all. So if somebody says, "I am this," to telling them the truth probably won't make any difference unless perhaps they discover it for themselves. And of course, many of them will, as they find out they are not gods, that they are more than human, and all of a sudden, life which has been good to them, obviously if you live in that culture and that cash-heavy environment, life is good. But you know what? Life has a way of evening things out. And then you find out maybe you can't handle it all by yourself. But there's more to it. I would really encourage you, again, this is a little bit heavy, but one of my favorite writers and thinkers and philosophers, and who's really influenced me a lot, was a man named Jacques Ellul. And his classic book was in 1964 called The Technological Society. And though he was a practicing Christian, he did not write at least half of his books not as a Christian. He just wrote them as a scientist, as a sociologist, as a researcher, as an observer of the human condition. He definitely wrote books on faith and religion, but they were a very separate part of the work he did. The other work he did was just simply an analysis of the human condition and what forms that, both politically, technologically, and everything else that gets involved in that. In the book, The Technological Society in 1964, and his argument was this, is technique or technology always tends toward the evil. We say, well, technology is neutral. Is no. It always tends toward the idea of effectiveness, profitability, usefulness is all that matters. And so it tends toward the evil. And of course, you can sense it, you can smell it, you can feel it. The men, the famous people who are now running those technical firms, none of them have ever confessed to, admitted to, shared to, and it's certainly not evident in their lives that they are guided by any kind of religious or metaphysical or transcendent faith. They aren't. They are what they are. And they are stupid because they think this world and what they do and they are all it is. That's stupid. As I say, even if you knew everything there is to know, you would only know 4% of what there really is. And you aren't even close to that, so you aren't anywhere near informed as to what might really be true. And the transcendent is true. Faith is real. And the people who embrace it are not stupid. Now, there are stupid people who embrace faith, but that's not why they're stupid. It's something else. Okay, what Jacques Ellul said was this. Guess what? For instance, what was one of the first things that happened with the internet? Well, pornography. it has led to all kinds of things that are not good. Just think of all the things where it's bent to the... Now, that doesn't mean there aren't good things and very useful things and very practical things. And, of course, I have to guard it because I use technology all the time. But what Elu said, technology always tends toward the evil unless the person of faith starts to bend it back. And it will be a hard bend to even bring it to any sense of neutrality. And of course, even harder to put technology into the service of the good. It's a massive job. And then speaking somewhat as a Christian follower, Elu would say, that's part of our job. That's part of our job, is to never fall in love with the technique, never fall in love with the technology, never worship the technology, never think that technology can solve our ultimate problems or issues. But if you live in that world, which we all do, and if you work in that world, remember, your job is to bend it back from the evil and from the wrong that usually tends to be its normal direction. Unfortunately, the people who are running our tech world today, at least running it, obviously, there's hundreds and thousands and perhaps even millions who are embraced in their faith, but of course they must do it quietly for the most part. Somewhat, as the man said, as Peter said, it's kind of a secret that perhaps only the few know, or they keep it pretty quiet and undercover. And that's a problem. And that's why there's so much evil in that sector of the industry. That's just the way it is. Hey, I'm Stan. This is Interesting Ideas. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll be back and tell you more about interesting ideas. Well, then, again, thank you for your time. And I want to hear from you. We are going to try and make this program on a regular basis. I have ambitions that we might even try and make it into a daily podcast, but that depends on you. Because I can come up with a lot of interesting ideas because I'm a curious man. I read a lot, I think a lot, and I pray a lot. I pray that God will give me new ideas all the time, interesting ideas. God, take charge of my creativity and overwhelm me with good things. Help me fill my mind with good things. But I need your help. So I would like very much for you to say 2 or 3 things. All right. First of all, if this is helpful, just let me know. I'd be grateful. Secondly, what would you like to know? What would you like to talk about? Maybe you want me to talk about. Maybe you would even like to be a guest on this program and you would like to talk about your interesting idea. And like Joe Rogan, I'll probably invite you on and we'll ask you questions. You know, that's what I do, and I think I do it well. I'm curious, and I won't attack you. I won't make fun of you, but I may challenge you. And I will challenge you perhaps fairly hard if you are telling lies. And I just may simply say, that's not true. That's not true. By the way, that's one of the most powerful words you can ever use. We'll have a program on that. Just say, that's not true. And as I taught my children one time when I allowed them to watch a particular series on television, we played the game of name the lie. Just name the lie. What lie is being told in that story? Name the lie. Thirdly, what it takes radio, and our job is to make sure that the people who run corporate media, and most of them are also corrupt, just like Silicon Valley. We want you, people of integrity, of competence, of wisdom, insight, and truth, to begin to take over, particularly the podcasting media. We can run with this new and powerful technology. We know how to take that technology and bend it toward the things that are good and right. And we can help you do that, and we will help you do just that. So reach out to me and my colleagues. Check us out at witradio.net. That's witradio.net. And then reach out to me at stan@witradio.net and say, Stan, I have an interesting idea. I'd like to share it with you. Stan, I'd like to be on the radio, and I will help you. Hey, best and blessings. And we have to do that all the time. We are always blessing others. You either bless or you curse in what you do and what you say. And we want to be the people who are always passing out blessings. So be blessed, be smart, be good, and share it all. Bye for now.